welcome back to my channel. Lila loves to cook. I don't love to cook, we've talked about this. I just like to make sure that my family eats homemade meals. Today we're going to have, dun, 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 dun. If you're Puerto Rican, you already know you cannot have the holidays without arroz con gandules. We eat this all the time regardless, but definitely if it's a holiday, don't give me white rice, we need arroz con gandules, which basically means Spanish rice with pigeon peas. Very important, pigeon peas, not sweet peas. They are not interchangeable. They are not sweet, they are savory. You could typically find them in the Spanish markets, and they look like a pea in a pod, just like a sweet pea. Sometimes they'll be out of their shell already, and if you buy them that way, then you have to bring them home, boil them for about an hour, sometime less, just until they're soft before you could actually use them. But let me tell you, there's a huge difference because the pigeon pea will actually have an aroma to it. You know when there's gandules in that rice. Let's go ahead and get started. And as always, before you come at me and be like, oh, that's not how you make it. You're right. This is how I make it. So keep watching and you'll learn how. All right. So what are we going to need to make this rice? Don't get scared. We need a lot. But for the most part, it's all stuff that you could easily find. But I'm going to put a huge disclaimer. Puerto Ricans, we do not measure. Anyway, follow me. I've actually measured the rice, the water, the oil for you. Everything else we're going to figure out together. If there's something in here that is completely necessary for the meal, I'll let you know. And if there's something that you could pass because maybe you couldn't find, it's okay. I'll let you know what's required, what's not required. All right, so the first thing we need is what's called the Holy Grail. This is what's called a caldero. If your caldero does not look like this on the outside, you ain't done crap in your kitchen. This means that this sucker has been in my life for a very long time. If you look at the inside, there goes my light, hold on. If you look at the inside, it is clean. It's actually a little bit shiny because I put the oil, a little bit of oil in there and then poured it out so I can measure it so I know exactly how much to put in there. But this is a caldero. It's an aluminum pot. This is the best thing that you can use to make rice, especially Spanish rice. Do not put this in a rice cooker. When you are Puerto Rican, you are the rice cooker. This is what you use. Like I said, do not make this rice in a rice cooker. I'm not responsible for what comes out of there. Okay. The gandules that we use, or that anybody uses, doesn't have to be Goya, it could be any brand. Goya green pigeon peas, gandules verdes, okay? This is what they're gonna look like, all right? You see, they're not as bright as a sweet pea, but that's because these have been boiled. They're brighter when they first come out of the pot, and then they boil them and tenderize them, and you're not gonna add the water. Some people will recommend that you add the water. I don't. So it's totally up to your liking, but if you're following this recipe and this is the first time you're making it, I recommend you don't use the water. And this is a 15-ounce can. You can really use any brand. There's no wrong or right way. You could also use, if you can't find gandules, you could use red kidney beans. You're not going to get the same flavor because the gandules has a certain flavor. So you're just going to get the rice flavor and the seasonings. But if you can find this, or if you can order it like on Amazon or anywhere else, do it. They have them at Walmart. They have them in your Spanish cooking stores. You're going to find it. You usually won't find this by the beans. You usually find this in the Spanish aisle. Red roasted peppers. This is, if you want to put it, fine. If you don't, you don't. I just put a few pieces. I'll show you how much I put in just a minute. I don't put the water, but I do just put the actual red roasted peppers. It just gives the rice a little bit more flavor, but again, it's not required. I'll let you know what's required. I do put this in. Salt to your liking. Some people can't use salt. I understand that. So if you don't want to use salt, don't. I recommend that you at least put a little bit in. I would say about 2 to 3 teaspoons, but as I cook, I taste it, and if it's missing something, I don't want it to taste like, oh my God, there's so much salt in there. I want to just be able to taste the salt in there. So about 2 to 3 teaspoons. Another holy grail in the Puerto Rican kitchen is sofrito. This is homemade. This is a Spanish cooking base. If you want to learn how to make this, the link is going to be down below. This is a Spanish cooking base. If sometimes the stores will sell the Goya brand in the freezer, but honestly, it's so easy to make. And if you plan, you can actually use this for your turkey, for your chicken. You can use it in your beef meals. You can use it in your fish meals. You could use it in a lot. And on this channel, I'm going to show you, because a lot of my Spanish recipes will use sofrito. Even some of the meals that aren't Puerto Rican, I should say, I will put this in just because it gives a lot more flavor. It's a mixture of cilantro, culantro, which is something a little bit different, garlic, sweet peppers, regular peppers. There's a lot of stuff in here, but like I said, follow that link. If you don't want to make this, if you don't want to buy this, then I would put probably a couple of pieces of peppers in there, some fresh cilantro. I don't have fresh cilantro, otherwise I would throw that in there too, but there is some in here. So it's totally up to you. Tomato sauce. This is just regular tomato sauce. I'm gonna put about, I would say about a tablespoonful. It's totally up to you if you want to put a little bit more. This is for taste and color, but you need to be careful if you're gonna put more, because the more liquid you put in your rice, the more chance of it becoming like too wet and like, I don't want to say soggy, but the rice should come out fluffy and not sticky. Our rice anyway. I know other rices may give me maybe a little bit different, but our rice is just fluffy. Let me turn on my stove and I'm gonna start heating up my pot. All right. The next thing you want is green olives. You don't have to put this, but typically you will see this in Puerto Rican meals. It does add a little bit of flavor to it, but if you don't like it, even if you do put it in, if you don't want to eat it, that's okay too. You can take them out. I buy the pitted ones because nobody wants to chew on a seed. This is ham. It's just regular cooking ham that I've diced up, and I took the fat, most of the, look, I say I took the fat, but then there's a big ass piece of fat here, of course. Most of the fat is out of here. You could actually use, this is about a half cup. You could actually use, like when you make your holiday ham, before you actually baste it, before you do anything, cut a piece off of it, dice it up, and then put it aside so that you can put it in your rice. That's usually what I do because the ham is usually too big for our family anyway. All right, keep going here. Water. For the amount of rice that I'm making today, and again, I don't measure, but today I actually did. Oh, but I didn't measure spices, but we're gonna work on that together. So for water, this is 2 1/3 cup of water. Doesn't have to be cold, doesn't have to be hot, just has to be room temperature is fine. And again, it's 2 1/3 cup of water. Oil. Vegetable or corn is fine. I would use canola too. I've used canola. I wouldn't use olive oil. So this is about 1/4 cup of oil. This is vegetable oil, but again, you could use, if you want corn, you can use corn. That's okay, or canola. Rice. Now I use a medium grain rice. Here's our rice right here. This is 2 3/4 cup of rice. This is Goya medium grain rice. Now with the rice specifically, if you're going to do brown rice, I've never done brown rice before, so I don't want to give you a recommendation. You could use the seasonings that I'm giving you today, but as far as the oil and water to rice ratio, that I'm not sure. You're gonna have to play around with that. Jasmine rice, also I've never made that before, so I don't want to recommend it. If you don't like medium grain rice, you can use long grain rice. I use the Goya rice. You can use the canilla, I think it's Canilla. That's another Spanish rice that I've used before. I personally like the Goya rice more. I've used the Riceland rice. And honestly, when the pandemic hit, I got so worried that as a Puerto Rican, I was gonna run out of rice, that I bought the Walmart rice. Yes, the Walmart long grain rice, and it was fine. So it's totally up to you, but I like the Goya rice because that's what I grew up eating. That and the Riceland rice. All right, you're gonna use 1 to 2 packets of Sazon Goya. This I've even seen at the Dollar Tree. It comes, the smallest box is like this, okay? This adds a little bit of flavor, but mostly it adds color. So if it is not as bright as I want it to be, I may add another one, but typically I will use one because that and the tomato sauce is good enough. Some people don't use this. I do. This is what I grew up with. You could also use this to give, oh, I'm falling here, hold on. Sorry. You could also use this to add color to your meats. So this doesn't add a lot of flavor, but it definitely does add color. And I'm gonna use 1 packet. Garlic powder. Got a little bit left there. I have more, but that just goes to show you what I go through in this house. This garlic powder, not garlic salt. If you're going to use garlic salt, omit the salt. So garlic powder, and I'm gonna use, again, I don't measure, so I'm probably gonna use I would say about 2 teaspoons, but that's just me guessing. So we're gonna do the 1 time around measurement. I'm pretty sure my brother's watching this video. He's probably cracking up because he always says, you never give me measurements, but he figures it out, so you will too. Onion powder, as far as these go, any brands is fine. This is just onion powder. This just says it in Spanish, but if you look, it says onion powder. Again, if you're gonna use onion salt, omit the salt. Black pepper. This is the ground black pepper. Do not use coarse black pepper. Do not use, peppercorn balls or anything like that. That's a little bit too harsh for this meal. I will tell you, I do use that, but not in my rice, but I'll tell you when to use that. I keep falling here. Here we go. We're back. Okay. Bear with me. This YouTube stuff is all new to me. Goya. Now, when you go in the Spanish aisle, Goya adobo. When you go in the Spanish aisle, you're going to be like, which one do I get? Okay. It's an all-purpose season. It's mixed with quite a few things, including turmeric. It's going to work good for color, but definitely for flavor. This is a holy grail in our culture. Like, we will put adobo in pretty much anything. If it tasted good in cereal, I would put adobo in cereal. It doesn't, so don't do it. Adobo is an all-purpose seasoning. Basically, the color of the cap determines what's in here. The reason I have such a big battle of this one is because this is adobo with black pepper. It doesn't bring a lot of black pepper, so I still use black pepper. But that's the difference. But if you read it, if you look for the cap, and then there's always a circle here, it'll tell you what's different in there. There's one with cumin, there's one without black pepper, there's a lemon pepper one. I usually use this one, or especially on chicken. I love this one. This one comes with bitter orange. And when you open it, oh my God, you get the aroma of orange with this one. But you may not always find this one. So for the most part, I use this one. And this one, you could find this in your Spanish food market. And again, Amazon carries everything. Walmart even carries this in smaller bottles. And I think this is the last thing. I told you, we got a lot. This is Mexican oregano. And if you see, it's almost like a ground oregano. This is well, it is a ground oregano. It's not almost, it is ground. This is very potent, okay? The reason why I say this is it is not like your dry oregano. This is gonna have more fragrance, more flavor. So you need to be careful with this one. I pretty much, out of all the seasonings, this is the one that I probably add the least to. All right, so we're back. Our pot is very hot and we're gonna go ahead and get started. As far as what ingredients you put first, try to follow what I'm doing here because making rice is like a science. So if you put the water in with the rice at the same time, your rice could get soggy. So try to follow what I'm doing, but most importantly, you want to wait until your water boils before you throw that rice in. That's how I was shown. That's how I make it. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with our sofrito. And I will tell you, like, it is music to my ears. My pot was probably a little bit too hot, but that's okay. And I'm using like a soup spoon, and I'm going to put 2 of these. The smell, the aroma that you're going to get from this, oh my God. It smells so good. So I'm going to move that around just a little bit. And usually I don't have my pot this hot, but because I jibber jabber, I love to talk, you know, I went a little bit long, but it's okay. No shame in our game. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to add, I just add about 6 olives. Again, to your liking. If you don't like olives, don't put it in. A can of gandules goes in. Then we're gonna put, oh my God, it smells so good already. We're gonna put our tomato sauce. And I'm gonna put 1, 2 of these soup spoons. I know, we're so professional here measuring, right? All right, we're gonna mix this around. And again, this is so hot. So, okay. You see what I just did there? I banged on the pot. My mother would have killed me. That was her biggest pet peeve in the kitchen. 1, don't try to cook in her kitchen. And 2, don't you dare bang on her pots. But the funny thing is, that thing is made out of aluminum. She said that we couldn't bang on her pots because otherwise we were gonna dent them. Do you think this thing is ever gonna dent? I've had this thing for God knows, oh my God, how many years. It's not denting anytime soon, put it that way. Jesus could have came and touched it, banged on it. It's not gonna dent. So I put some roasted red peppers. Again, if you don't want to put this, you don't have to. I like to. It gives the rice a lot more flavor, but it's totally up to you. We're going to throw our ham in. Throw it all in there. If you don't want to make ham, you can use Vienna sausages. I know it's a little ghetto, but hey, we don't all got money. And Vienna sausages are like 44 cents a can. Throw the water out, rinse them, dice them up, and throw them in there. If you don't want to use meat at all, you don't have to. It's not required. This is just how we traditionally make it, but you don't have to put meat in there. All right, and now that we got all that in there, just gonna mix it again really quick. And it smells so good already. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and add my packet of sazon. Okay. And next thing I'm gonna do, and this is when we're gonna laugh because again, we don't measure. We're gonna throw our adobo in. And I usually go, well, there are times 3 times around. One day I'll figure out how to give you measurements on certain things, but when it comes to Spanish food, most of the recipes you see, unfortunately, they'll tell you to go 1 time around. With the black pepper, same thing. You just go 1, 2, done. With the onion, same thing. 1, 2, done. And with the garlic powder. 1, 2, done. I usually leave my spices out because once I add the water, I taste it and I check to see, do I need salt? Maybe do I need a little bit more oregano? Usually I will add a little bit more adobo, sometimes garlic powder, and sometimes adobo, sometimes salt. All right, this is the one we got to be careful with, because if you put too much of this, it's so strong, but it's such a good flavor. So we're gonna go just one time around with the oregano. And then with the salt, we're gonna go 1, 2. Okay, we may need to add a little bit more. Then we're gonna mix everything. Okay. So that's where we're at right now. This ugly mess is gonna be something delicious. Trust me, I won't steer you wrong. I'm a big girl for a reason. Because I love to eat and I love good food. So you're not gonna find something that isn't good. If I don't like it, more than likely you're not gonna like it either. Except for seafood. Don't give me seafood. We don't mess around with seafood over here. Okay. So we're gonna throw our rice in. And when we throw, we're gonna throw our water in. But when we throw our water in, I'm gonna go ahead and raise up my heat to medium high. Okay? You want the heat on medium high. And then we're gonna throw our oil in. Okay? Now we're gonna mix all of that. And this is again why I keep these here, because, oh, I'm gonna start a fire. Because I have to hold this so it doesn't move all over the place. All right, see, this is what it looks like. And oh my God, it smells, when I tell you it smells amazing, it smells amazing. I'm not lying. Okay, so this is the base for your rice. All right, we're back. So our water is boiling. Where are we now? We are going to add our rice. These steps about waiting till the water boiling, the heat, when you put your rice in, very important so your rice comes out perfect. So we're gonna dump our rice in there. Throw it in there. Let it join the party. All right. Then I mix it. Okay. Now, what we wanted to do, we still have our water, we still have our heat on medium high. We're mixing everything together, okay? What we wanted to do is continue boiling, and as it boils, the rice is gonna soak up that liquid, which is what we wanted to do. Then our next step is going to be, and I'm gonna show you, but I'm just giving you a heads up to know, don't walk away too far because you have to keep an eye on this. Once it soaks up the water, you're gonna stir it again. You're gonna scrape the rice off the sides, because what's gonna happen is the rice that's stuck to the sides of the pot is gonna cook faster because the pot is so hot. So I like to scrape it all off the sides once all the water is gone. Put it in a nice little mound, cover it, lower the heat, and let it cook. I'm gonna walk you through that process so you don't have to think like, oh my God, I gotta remember all this. No, but I'm just giving you a heads up. Also, I'm going to let you know that I'm going to be changing burners. Reason being is my stove has 2 power burners in the front. Even at the lowest setting, it's still too high for rice. So if your stove is like that, make sure that you follow me as far as what burner you're gonna use. Some people swear that you should not do this. Some people do it. This is how I was shown. As it cooks, I'm going to take my spoon and I'm gonna go under the rice, because I want that water to get under there and start cooking that rice that's under there. See how that water is already thickening up? Again, it's because that rice is starting to soak up that water. So I like to scrape the rice and then let that water get in there, so those other grains of the rice start joining that party. They all want to party. Nobody wants to be left out here. So see how that's thickening up? We're gonna let that go a little bit longer. I'm gonna come back when it's almost dry to show you what you're gonna do. All right, we're back. And I just came to show you exactly where we're at right now in the cooking process. Again, you do see the rice now. You do still have a little bit of liquid. And I don't want it to all stick to the side, so I'm constantly like moving it, lifting the rice from the bottom and bring it to the top because I want it to cook evenly. Some people will tell you that you should not touch the rice. That, oh my God, once it's dry, dang, no. This is how I make it. This is how I've always made it. This is how I've learned from my mom. So if you watch a video and say, don't touch it, it's okay if you touched it. Jesus is not going to come down and tell you, oh my God, you touched the rice. It's okay. It's just, we all learn from whoever taught us how to make it. So we're going to follow whatever they told us on how to do it. This is how I do it. All right. So we see, I don't know if you can see here, there's still a little bit of water bubbling on the sides. And at this point is when I'm going to do my final stir. And I'm going to bring that rice over again. So let's do that now. So again, I'm lifting from the sides. And this is not, your rice is not done. All your rice did was soak up the liquid. So now is when I'm going to take all that rice off the sides. And I bring it up like this. Okay. And if you make a mistake and you feel like your rice don't come out perfect when you first make it, don't give up. Keep trying. Reason being is, again, my mom would kill me if I did that. Reason being is because when I first made my first pot of rice, I couldn't even stir it. That's how bad it was back when I was 16. So you'll figure it out. All right. So at this point, there's no liquid. The rice does look wet, but that's because it's soaked up all the water. And now it's still, that what's left is going to cook. Now the steam is going to cook the rice. So we're going to cover our rice. And this is when, normally if you had a normal stove, you would just lower the heat. I don't. So I'm going to move this to that back burner that I told you. And we're going to put our rice or our heat, we're going to put it between low and medium. Okay, so I'm back. Here's where my stove is at. So here's medium, here's low. I have it here. But again, my burners are very different. And then if you could see, this is so bad because you really can't see much. There you go. All right, you're going to keep it, it's not focusing, but you get the idea. Oh, whatever. There we go. All right. What you're going to do is you're going to keep it on here for about 20 minutes. And in 20 minutes, you're going to stir it just the same way I showed you. You're going to go from the bottom to the top, mix it, scrape off the sides, cover it up again. At that point, you're going to let it cook. You're going to lower it even lower. And you're going to let it cook for about another 20 to 30 minutes. It should be about 40 minutes to sometimes even an hour, just depending on the rice, before it's done. And when it is, I will let you know. But I'm coming back to show you when I stir it again and when I lower the heat. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back. Oh, look at that. What I recommend is that you let that water drip out when you open your pot. I'm still cooking it on the back burner, but the reason I moved it was so that I could bring it closer to the camera. So the rice has been cooking for 20 minutes on low, yeah, in between low and medium, as I showed you a little bit ago. This is what our rice looks like now. Now at this point, I'm gonna again break it up. It's not done yet. I'm just mixing it so that it cooks evenly. But oh my God, if you would smell this, it smells so good. So the way you know it's done is that you taste it, and if the grains are still hard, it's not done yet. But obviously this is not cooked long enough. So now, again, I'm just gonna move it off the sides just a little bit. I don't do as much as I did earlier. That's mainly so that it soaks up all the water at the same time. So now I'm gonna cover it again, and I'm gonna cook it again for, I don't want to say again, we'll continue to cook it for about 20 minutes, the same heat. So I let it cook now for another 20 minutes on the same heat. After 20 minutes, I'm gonna check it. If it's not done yet, then I'm gonna lower it to a little bit lower and let it cook for another 10 minutes. But in about 20 minutes, this should be done. So I will be back when I check it again. Okay, so we are back. We're in the home stretch now, guys. We're almost there. So the rice has been cooking for another 20 minutes. And I'm going to go ahead and uncover it. I actually cheated and uncovered it before this. And I tasted it. Tastes really good. Some of the grains are still a little bit hard. So we're going to let it cook for 10 more minutes. But you see this? It has soaked up all of the liquid. And sometimes just by looking at it, you could tell it's not done yet, because you can look at some of the rice, some of the grains. You could see some of the white in it, meaning that the rice hasn't cooked all the way through. And this is what you want. You want to be able to move your rice and it fall off your spoon. See that? There's been times when you move your rice, you go like this, and the rice still sticks on there. Mine don't. That means that your rice came out sticky. And that's not what you want. Again, don't give up. If that's what happens, try again and, make adjustments to the liquid. But try to follow the steps that I gave you, because that's how I learned. And it's not always going to come out perfect, and you'll end up getting it. So you're going to cover it again. And again, because of my burners, I'm going to put it back on that back burner. I've already lowered the heat. The heat is on low. And I'm going to let it cook for 10 more minutes. In 10 minutes, it should be done. And I'm going to come back and show you where we're at. Look who made it. I let my rice cook for 10 more minutes on low. It's obviously done. Look, you see the ham. You see the little pieces of roasted red pepper. It's light, it's fluffy, it's very flavorful. Let me taste. That's what I'm talking about. You could serve this with anything, really. Chicken, fish, beef, pork, whatever. It doesn't matter. You could serve it with Mexican food. If you're making just regular tacos, don't make it with pasta. Although, sometimes we serve it with some kind of meat and a masticholi on the side. I can't even explain it. We do it. It's okay. It actually goes really well together. Most important, I hope that you make it for you and your family. I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And most importantly, thanks for watching. See you again next time. And don't forget to smile. It looks good on you. Bye, guys.